Man, that's a I've never thought about it like that, Mike, but I think you've touched on something crucially important and could have really changed or at least even further elevated the status of young guns.
What is up? Welcome back to Fondling Cardboard. I'm your host, Mike Lakusta, aka the Golf Card Collector. Man, this has been a tough week for me physically because my son, who is a toddler, started preschool. And oh, the joys of when they first get into that cesspool of the world and bring home those germs. That's right. The Lakusta household has been sick, and for 2 straight days, I lost my voice, if you would believe it. And luckily, fortune has it that today, it's finally returned. I might sound a little extra raspy, but we are good to go. So today, I've got something very exciting for all of you. We have Jeremy Lee, who is an expert in the sports card industry, here to talk to me about the recent announcement of LIV Golf cards through Panini and what that means based on his experience with hockey cards. So Jeremy Lee has been in the sports card world for over 40 years. And I don't know if he's listening to this, but that's longer than I've been alive. Sorry, Jeremy. He is the host of the Sports Card Live podcast, Collectible Live, and PWCC Premier Live. 40 plus years of sports card hobby and industry experience, and a host of live streaming interview shows on YouTube since April of 2020. Jeremy Lee has interviewed over 200 people in the industry, including industry insiders, passionate collectors, and other content creators. This man has an extensive network, and I'm grateful for his generosity to spend some time talking to us about golf, hockey, Panini, Upper Deck, lots of other stuff. So without further ado, let's kick it to the top. Jeremy, you're obviously familiar with Panini from other sports. In general, do you think this is something that might push golf cards into the limelight a little bit, maybe more into the mainstream?
Yeah, for sure it will, because Panini's going to put their marketing behind it. They're not going to be able to put marketing behind baseball and football anymore. It's coming right away here. So yeah, what else are they going to focus on besides that? And soccer, I definitely think that it's going to put at least the LIV Tour. It's going to push that out to the forefront. Might actually, I really don't follow the world of golf that closely, but to put the question back to you, Mike, is adding LIV cards to the community enough to push the LIV Tour at all, or is that completely backwards?
It's a great question. I collect a LIV player is one of my main PCs. Funny enough, even that hasn't necessarily pushed me into being a weekly watcher of their broadcasting. So I would venture to say maybe not. But one of the more exciting things about the announcement is that there are some key LIV players who don't have any cards. So Cameron Smith is a fine example. He won the Open, the British Open. When he won that, his card prices would have spiked. He would have been a popular player for people to search for, and there was nothing. A couple other examples like Brooks Koepka, who, and I get razzed for saying this, but I think Brooks Koepka is going to be a top 20 player of all time when all is said and done because of his performance in major championships. And all he has is a single Sports Illustrated for Kids card. Same thing with John Rahm. He was world number 1 last year, going towards becoming the best Spanish player of all time. All he has is a Sports Illustrated for Kids. So even if it doesn't mean people will get more into LIV, at the very least, this is going to be supplying the industry, the hobby, with some cards that were desperately needed. So that's what I'm most excited about. And the fact that they could be Prism, National Treasures, Flawless, all these exciting Panini sets, that's kind of a cherry on top.
Yeah, I'm excited for the golf community to the extent that you guys like the LIV Tour and the golfers on it. It seems like you like at least one or two. So yeah, it's probably a big news for golf collectors. And keeping in mind that it is a little bit polarizing, the PGA versus LIV politics there, but otherwise, yeah, I'm happy for you guys.
considering that situation, the polarizing PGA versus LIV, have you seen anything like that in other sports where competing leagues, political issues, things of that nature come into play, and how that might have affected sports cards?
I mean, not in the modern times. You know, the NFC and the AFC merged for the NFL, and we saw the same thing in baseball, and we saw the same thing with the ABA and the NBA, and we saw the same thing with hockey. The WHA was a competing league in the 70s, signed away some big players from the NHL like Bobby Hull, Jacques Plante, and then those two leagues merged. So what ends up happening historically in those four major sports is they end up merging. So I don't know. It's interesting because golf is golf. You know, when you think about auto racing, you've got Indy and you got F1. They're or NASCAR. Like they're totally different. They're driving sports, but they're totally different cars. So you couldn't really merge those. But golf is golf. You can merge it. Hockey, basketball, baseball, football all ended up merging. So I think the competing league is going to be tough for them both to, I think, to survive at their optimal state.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's sad when you see the best of the world getting split into multiple leagues. If they're not playing nice with each other, you don't know where to watch. You don't know who to follow. You reminded me just the fact that you're a serious hockey collector. Obviously, in modern times, Upper Deck has been the main brand that you're following, and Upper Deck is also the main brand for golfers. So I know that in the early 2010s, maybe 2012, 2013, something like that, Panini ended up releasing a few sets with NHL licensing. There was NHL Prism, NHL Select, Certified. Yeah. That's kind of a situation that we're encountering in the golf card world right now. Hopefully it continues on because that seemed like a one-off sort of year for Panini. A couple questions around that. Do you know how that happened, how that transpired, and why it only went on for 1 year? So that's one question.
Well,
and the second question is how was that received by hockey collectors?
yeah, so it was actually 4 years that Panini had a hockey license from 2010 through the 2013 season. Very well received. Some of the products are still hotly collected. I personally collect cards from the Panini era in hockey, again 2010 to 2013. It was received very well. We had competition. You had Panini coming in to compete with Upper Deck, and they put out brands like, we only had National Treasures for 1 year in hockey, 2013/14. A great product, one of my favorite all-time products actually. But they put out Dominion. Was meant to really compete with the Cup at first, and then several other brands beneath it. There were several brands, so it was received well. I think hockey collectors miss the days of competition, and I think some hockey collectors miss certain Panini brands to this day.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree, and I am not a massive hockey collector, but my team is the Arizona Coyotes. I just pulled out a couple of cards to kind of show off. So I've got a gold prism Shane Doan. It's one of my favorite players. My favorite goalie was Mike Smith, the Canadian, and that's his prism autograph. So I'm with you. I love these Panini hockey cards, and I really hope that translates over to the golf world. What's really interesting in this story, though, is that it's not competitive licensing because LIV and PGA are completely separate leagues. So it's different manufacturers and different brands for each league. So I'm really hoping it does stimulate some competition, though, because maybe these competing companies will kind of force each other to step it up just in terms of quality control, in terms of the products that they release, even if they don't have the same players, the same logos. I am hoping they push each other. Do you think that might happen?
Yeah. Well, you mentioned quality control. I think that, all these cards are printed in the same place. Upper Deck's printing all their cards in within a couple of facilities. Same with Panini. So quality control is going to be governed by things much larger than the fact that you have LIV with Panini and PGA with Upper Deck. I don't think that's going to have any impact on quality control. As far as innovation and, creativity with designs and brand and sets and subsets and insert sets and all that, I don't know. I mean, it seems to me like Upper Deck's probably like, Panini, you can have LIV, you can have it type of thing. We're going to stick with what we're doing. Upper Deck's done a great job, historically with their cards. And I think for that competition to really ramp up, you would have to have them competing under the same license, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But if Panini does something spectacular with golf, Upper Deck might take a cue from that. However, if you flip it around, Panini has several Upper Deck products to study and see how they're doing it. But that doesn't just apply to golf. It applies to everything. These companies are watching each other's products. They're opening each other's products to see what's going on. So I don't think that this Panini LIV license is going to spark much additional innovation or competition between those two companies. But I could be wrong.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully we're wrong, but I tend to lean in that same opinion. Upper Deck has really been kind of repurposing some of their hockey sets and properties towards golf. And it feels a little stale, because as someone who keeps an eye on hockey as well as golf, I'm not blown away when they announce something. I'm familiar with it. I already know what Young Guns are, and they missed the boat with Young Guns for golf, because they did release Young Guns in 2001. 2001 was Tiger Woods' rookie season, and Tiger Woods did not get a Young Gun. That ultimately was the decision that spoiled Young Guns for golf. If they had, because Tiger Woods' rookie card is just the base number 1 card from the set, and he did get other inserts. He had Victory March, he had stat leaders, he had a variety of other inserts. Why did they skip out on the Young Gun? I don't know.
Because they weren't doing even Young Guns in hockey for a few years back then. They took it off, and then they brought it back heavily. And I think they did have them in 2000 with Ilya Kovalchuk, and 01, I think they had them in 01 with the Datsuk year. 02 would have been the Rick Nash year, Jason Spezza. They have Young Guns. So there were some years in the 90s where they didn't do them, I believe. But yeah, I agree with you. A huge miss that they didn't apply the Young Gun brand to Tiger Woods. I mean, that would have, man, that's a humongous. I've never thought about it like that, Mike, but I think you've touched on something crucially important and could have really changed, or at least even further elevated, the status of Young Guns in hockey and other sports that they're doing some others now, unlicensed. A major miss by them. I agree.
Absolutely. But looking at the modern sets that are released, there's hockey sets like Black Diamond, SP Authentic, things like that are starting to come out every few years. 2021, 2024. Some of the Goodwin Champions cards are collectible by golf collectors, because there's nothing in between 2021 and 2024 for us to collect. So we have to go towards multi-sport sets. But yeah, it seems like Upper Deck has not really been innovating. When I see their announcements, they say exciting new golf cards, and they'll put, a player's button on the card, or a little capsule with some sand from TPC Sawgrass, which is cool. But, a little, it almost seems just like a flash in the pan, not like an actual innovative set, just a little trick in the one-trick pony kind of thing.
Yeah. So I hear that comment a lot from people regarding hockey, never mind golf as well. And, I kind of actually push back a bit on it, because I think that now, first of all, I gotta just state that yes, Upper Deck is recycling old insert sets over and over again, and it's extremely frustrating, and it's not good for collectors when they do that. When they keep on going back to these tribute designs and original PMGs and the cup tributes and exquisite tributes and hot shots, they're doing that over and over again, and they know they need to stop. They've confirmed to me that they know that they have to stop that. I've stopped collecting a ton of things that Upper Deck makes because of that. So they've lost me on a bunch of things, and I know they're losing others. So at least they're doing that. But I will also say that outside of that type of content that they put into their products, when you tell me they're putting in some sand I'm like, wow, that is innovative. Because then the question becomes, what else could they do? We only have 2.5 by 3.5 inches of real estate to work with on any card. What else could they actually do to make those cards more innovative? They've come out with booklets, vertical, horizontal, 3-panel, 4-panel booklets, which I don't even consider cards. I like my cards to be the standard size, right? So I just don't know what else they can do to innovate besides coming up with new names for insert sets and just nice design, nice fresh designs. And maybe that's what you mean. And if that's what you mean, I'm with you, because I'd like to see that. Enough of going back to the well on platinum portraits and PMGs. I've had enough of it. Sorry for that rant.
No problem. And actually, you've inspired something I want to hit on. But before I get there, specifically, the kind of innovation I'm looking for might not be categorized as innovation. One other thing they could do is cardstock, because there is no chromium style of golf cards, for instance. I know O-Pee-Chee Platinum is a hit with collectors, and as I've gotten back into my Coyotes collecting for hockey, I've been gravitating towards O-Pee-Chee Platinum. I've been collecting the seismic golds and some of the emeralds out of 10, and I'm really enjoying it. It's got that consistency across other sports. You've got Topps Chrome for baseball, you've got Panini Prism for football and basketball, which will, I guess, soon shift back over to Topps and Fanatics. But golf doesn't have any of that, other than a couple of sets in recent years from Goodwin Champions where they do have platinum kind of repurposed for Tiger Woods, a couple other golfers, but it's only half a dozen or so. So that's one thing I would really like. I was actually asking for the last year that I've been doing content creation on the Sports Card Strategy Show with Paul Hickey, and now on my own podcast, Fondling Cardboard. I've been saying every other episode, we need a Chrome golf product. And here we are. Yesterday it's announced. It's with LIV, it's with Panini, it's Prism, it's a brand we all know. So that's one of the reasons I'm so excited about it.
Well, let me just say, I think then now what you'll see likely is O-Pee-Chee Platinum PGA. I mean, that would be amazing if they feel that it's going to provide them with the return on their outlay, their investment for, financial and human. I don't know if it will be or not.
O-Pee-Chee Platinum Golf is a specific set I've been asking for. I've been hitting up my contact at Upper Deck saying, this is what I want. And I think other golf collectors are going to follow, because anybody with an ounce of awareness of the hobby knows that in basketball, football, all these other sets, people are chasing the gold prisms, the black finite 1/1s, the black nebula, or whatever they're called. Like, it doesn't have to be autographed. One of the biggest challenges that Upper Deck has with golf is that it's not a employee-based league. So each player maintains their own rights for name, image, and likeness. So if they sign a deal with the PGA, which Upper Deck did, all that gives them is the PGA logo. They don't have access to photos and names of all of the players. So then they go to every individual player to try and sign a contract, and only half of them are even interested. And a handful of them, the stars, are asking for too much money for their time. And that is one of the reasons that LIV Golf is going to be successful with this set, is that there's only 50, so 13 teams, 4 players a team, so 52 players. And they're going to have a 52-player checklist, because by signing a contract to play for the team within the LIV League, they've assigned some of their rights to the league. And so regardless of whether or not they're going to sign cards, and knowing Panini, they're not going to be signing cards, they'll probably be signing stickers. Even if they won't sign the stickers, we can still collect their rare parallels.
Yeah.
Of the whole league.
Yeah. I could see O-Pee-Chee Platinum, or maybe they don't even call it O-Pee-Chee. Maybe they call it something else, Platinum Golf. And now you've got all these parallels. In hockey, you've got the Emerald Surge, which is the green one. Well, now you could come up with something that ties into the golf greens, the green flat. I don't know golf terminology, but the green something or other, they could do that, and that would be awesome. And I'm not a golf collector. I'm not even a fan of golf, but I do like Tiger Woods. And I do like the legends that I've seen over the years, Jack Nicklaus and these guys. I could see even someone like myself, I don't know that I'd be able to pay enough to compete with the collectors who would really want these, but like you said, maybe there's the seismic gold or whatever it's called in golf out of 10 or out of 50 even for Tiger. Like, that would be a hot card. That'd be a real hot card and then you'd have crossover collectors who want it because it's Upper Deck or because it's O-Pee-Chee or whatever brand they assign to it. But I'm with you. That chrome looking card with some parallels and a nice tight checklist, that'd be great. And here's a
Mm-hmm.
question for you. I am not a fan of autographs on chrome cards at all. Like I prefer them to be without autographs, whether it's, O-Pee-Chee Platinum or Prism. Where do golf collectors fall? Do you guys want the autographs, or would you be happy with just non-autographed hits?
That's a great question. Golf collectors tend towards wanting autographs. Historically, those have been the
collectors.
Yeah, those have been the chase cards for the most part. However, I kind of agree with you, specifically with Panini, with Prism. I don't having a Prism card with that sticker autograph. I do have that Mike Smith card I just showed you, but those are not the cards I'm chasing. Everybody knows when you're opening Prism, you're chasing the golds, the one of ones, the whatever, the rare downtown, color blast, all of those kind of beautiful cards is what you want. However, with O-Pee-Chee Platinum, what I do like that Upper Deck did, and I'm going to show a card right here, this is my Clayton Keller rookie autograph card out of 50. And I love the red rather than any of the other parallels because it's jersey color matching. And, his autograph is pretty discreet on there. It's on card, so it's not an obtrusive sticker. And this is an example where I do really like how Upper Deck and O-Pee-Chee have.
As long as it isn't a sticker, then I'm more okay with it personally. But I'm also a rare bird when it comes to this stuff, Mike. I am not a huge autograph guy. I have some for sure, but I am not I just don't really care about players' autographs personally. I know autographs are the biggest. Autographs are huge in the world of sports collectibles. To me, it's more about the item than the player's autograph, but I'm unique in that way.
I kind of toe the line, and this is kind of a good transition into our discussion about projects, because when I look at my personal projects that I've worked on, none of them actually have autograph sets in them. They're all parallels or insert sets or whatever. I just remembered to circle back to what you were saying about Upper Deck. In 2021, when Metal Universe Champions came out and they announced they would be having precious metal gems, retro star rubies, those sorts of things of golfers, I was so excited. And my excitement has simmered down a little bit since they've been releasing them year over year. And so my initial thought is that I disagree with you. I am so pumped that they have precious metal gems for Tiger Woods, and it's not for every golfer. There's maybe a grand total of 10 golfers that have PMGs, Star Rubies. But where I do agree with you is that by releasing it year over year, it's watering it down. It's becoming less special. And other golf collectors agree. There are a lot of golf collectors who are aware of other sports and the importance of these sets. And we feel left out. Whenever we listen to hobby content or we see people showing off these amazing cards from the 90s or the reprints from the 20 teens, we say, well, where was this for golf? Because Upper Deck has been the only golf manufacturer forever, and they listened. But now it's just becoming too much.
Yeah, I agree with what you said. And I think we're actually on the same page on all that, because I'm all for there being PMGs for the first time for some players. I know Tiger Woods had the employee card, so that one doesn't really count. But I'm okay with that happening in the 2021 Metal Universe. But if they do it again in 21-2 and again in 2-3 and 3-4, now 5 years later, you've got 5 different versions of PMGs for these guys to collect. Does the first one really matter anymore as much as it would have if it was the only one? I don't think it does, especially if the design doesn't hold up against some of the more modern designs, especially also when it comes to the number one guy by a mile being Tiger Woods, and he has the employee version out of 125, I think, that is floating around out there too. So yeah, I like that they introduced some PMGs in 2020 for golf, but stop there. At least what I tell these guys at Upper Deck is give it a 5-year break.
Mm-hmm.
Give it a break. Mm-hmm. Give the collectors a break. You are exhausting the collector, and what you're also doing is you are devaluing what we already have. And no collector deliberately wants to see their cards go down in value. Some collectors like to say that they don't care if their cards go down in value, which I call BS on, but that's what they're doing. That's what Upper Deck is doing, is they are devaluing what we already have by continuing to retread these same designs and concepts. Designs, especially if the concept changes of the design, or sorry, concept especially, but if the design changes, you know, it can salvage a little bit of the value.
A good lesson that we can learn from the trading card game world, as opposed to sports cards, is that cards are looked at as game pieces. And so scarcity means prices go up because players of the game need those game pieces. And what happened in trading card games like Magic the Gathering or Pokemon is that when a card is reprinted 5 years after its initial release and then 10 years after its initial release, that game piece is no longer rare and the prices plummet. And it's the same situation that's happening in sports cards. The difference is, in sports cards, we look at them as art, and people say, well, the art is so different that, it shouldn't affect the first one. But in reality, it just provides different options. It's like looking at a fruit basket. I can get an apple, a banana, whatever, but there's enough food for everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you again to Jeremy for joining the Fondling Cardboard show. That was an excellent debut appearance. And I've got good news for you listeners. Jeremy's going to be joining us again next week. We'll be continuing the conversation about projects. And Jeremy and I sat down even longer for that conversation than what you just listened to. So I cannot wait to publish that one. Now, I don't know how I got through this episode without talking about the breaking news. Man, I should have done another breaking news segment for this episode. But here's my thoughts on that. PSA, their parent company, Collector Universe, has purchased SGC. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't care much. It's really a business decision. If they want more revenue streams, if SGC thinks they got good valuation, all of that's up to the business people. At the end of the day, I'm just a bit disappointed now that PSA isn't going to have somebody putting them in check. Now they're going to have control over their best competitor. I mean, in the golf card world, people would say BGS is the number 2 after PSA. In fact, some of you longtime collectors might say BGS is number 1, but they've fallen off the map. They're barely grading cards these days. Maybe in the range of 2000 to 2010. If that's your main collection and you've had your cards graded for years, fair enough. But in the modern world, PSA is number 1 and SGC is number 2. Now, SGC's been applying pressure to PSA with their price levels, their lead times, their top-notch customer service, and now PSA can really dictate what both companies are doing through their mutual ownership group. So that's kind of my only concern. I mean, the only other implication would be maybe PSA forces SGC to change their style, because SGC is known for the tucks and having this beautiful black insert around the card and a plain white and black label, as opposed to the colorful PSA slab. So I don't know. That's my only other thought, is I do hope that the tuxedo is still an option. So I think for the time being, the rumors I've been hearing is that even if PSA were to make changes for the time being, for the short term, the next year or two, they won't be shoving anything down their throats over at SGC. So we'll have access to SGC for the time being. All right, let's run through some mailbag and the card of the week, and then let's get out of here. So, mailbag, just a few quick questions. The Panini Instant LIV Golf cards. Mike Martin, this is just a comment, it doesn't look like a question. He says, I believe these will be like when the World Hockey Association came into existence. No true NHL collector would touch those cards, and now these are some of the more valuable cards around. So don't you turn your nose up at these quite yet. Fair enough. Thank you, Mike Martin. Next, Pat Bonnet. He says, why did you turn down an Upper Deck contract? I didn't. Oh, Pat is replying to, I asked the group on Golf Cards and Memorabilia on Facebook what would you ask a LIV Golf team or employee if you were to talk to them about their sports cards? So he's asking, why did you turn down an Upper Deck contract? So I guess, Pat, the LIV players did not turn down an Upper Deck contract. Obviously, they defected from the PGA and now they play on the LIV. And so these players might have had Upper Deck cards in the past. And I don't think that Upper Deck is currently pursuing LIV golfers. So it's really a matter of the LIV Golf League wanting to produce trading cards. I don't think Upper Deck would touch them. And Panini, was desperate to have some kind of flagship sport. And so, yeah, I think it was just perfect for LIV and Panini to partner up. All right, Sawyer Stein. Is Anthony Kim going to have a Prism card or any card? So Sawyer, Anthony Kim, he's making his return, by the way, on the LIV Tour. So for those of you who don't know, Anthony Kim was a big name like 10 or 15 years ago. Hot rookie on the scene, very much a fan favorite. And I think he had 3 tour wins at a pretty young age. Like this guy was playing well, and he had a pretty serious back injury, and so he basically had to retire early, like in his, I want to say mid to late 20s, and he just vanished off the face of the earth. And about 3 weeks ago, we started hearing these clues that maybe Anthony Kim's coming back, and it's funny. It really had this resemblance to when Tiger Woods was posting a swing on Twitter and it just blew up. Same kind of thing happened with Anthony Kim. He posted a few pictures of him hitting irons on the driving range, and people just got pumped. And at that time, we didn't know which league he was going to play in. But sure enough, it turns out he's going to be playing on LIV Tour. And so to answer your question, Sawyer, I don't know for certain that he's going to have Prism cards or Panini cards, but I would assume so if he's assigned to a team, which I believe he is. I forget which team he's playing under. But I would think that these cards haven't been printed yet, and so he will eventually have some Panini cards. And actually that goes hand in hand with a question I got from Matthew Wolf Matthew Wolf Fan Club. I'm the Matthew Wolf Collector. He's the Matthew Wolf Fan Club. And he asked if there was any Anthony Kim cards. So clearly this Anthony Kim buzz is popular in the golf world. Anthony Kim has some cards from that time frame. So I did some quick research. 2011, 2012 is kind of the main time frame of Anthony Kim cards. There was so let's just run through some of these. 2012 Upper Deck SP Authentic rookie signatures, numbered out of 299, and this is the authentic rookie autograph card. Basically, I would consider this his main rookie autograph card. It's very similar stylings as a lot of other players, like Dustin Johnson, Bubba Watson. Those kind of guys all have the same card. So I would say that's probably the main card to chase. I mean, I'm not giving advice here with investment or whatever, how to spend your money, but right now is probably not the best time to buy it, right? The dude just came out of retirement and got a lot of hype. He's about to play in one tournament. And even if he doesn't play well, it's probably not the right time to buy his cards because he's going to carry that hype through for at least a month or two. So he's got a 2012 SP Authentic rookie card, non-autographed. He's got 2012 First Tee rookie card, also autographed, out of 199. It's funny, I'm noticing that people are listing his cards on eBay right now. They're starting to put LIV Golf in the card description, which is kind of funny. Another 2012 SP Authentic rookie autograph. Let's see, game used rookie autograph. If you're looking for something cheap, there's a 2011 Goodwin Champions card, and there would be various variations of that. There'd be the little mini cards and different colored parallels. And last but not least, there is a Leaf card. I can't quite see what the year of the card is, but it's It's from like Leaf Metal, probably 2011 or 2012. And those cards are incredible. You've probably heard about me talk about the Leaf Metal cards before. I mean, I don't have any of the base cards. I only have a few of the autographed cards, but they can compare to any other brands. We talked about Upper Deck and Panini earlier, and these Leaf Metal cards, the autographs, the serial number, the parallels, the shininess, the quality control, they can go up against any other card and for a fraction of the price. So don't sleep on those. All right, last question in the mailbag because my voice is getting pretty raspy. But this is from a friend of the show, James Peacock. He asks, as someone who has never collected prisms, what are the chase card? What are the most iconic subset or style across Panini? First of all, James, you spelled prisms wrong. You probably spelled it right in some other worlds, but for Panini, it's P-R-I-Z-M or P-R-I-Z-M for you Americans. And the main cards to chase are the low serial numbered parallels. So for the base cards, you're going to have, probably half a dozen, maybe a dozen different colors. And they'll be serial numbered anywhere from $3.99, $1.99, out of 99, out of 50, whatever. Very similar to what you would get out of like Goodwin Champions. But where the real chases come in is in the gold. And the gold, historically, from Panini has always been serial numbered out of 10. So a gold prism, serial numbered out of 10, that is the card to chase. Now, typically the base prism, gold, is going to be the main one. There's going to be subsets, fireworks, instant impact, a bunch of random subsets like that. Those ones I named are not the chase ones, but those will also have parallels, and so you'll be able to get a gold parallel out of one of those. So a gold prism fireworks is going to be popular as well. It'll 100% be a chase card. It won't be as chaseable as the main gold. Now, Panini, over the last 5 years, has just been blowing up their parallels. So you may end up with things like gold wave or gold shimmer or gold sparkle or whatever. Those are collectible as well. I don't know if I'm going to call them a chase card. I'm going to call them a collectible card. Those are probably the ones, honestly, that I'm probably going to go after because like a Brooks Koepka true gold is going to be, I would guess, ridiculously priced. So I'll probably go after one of the other parallels. Now, in terms of other subsets, iconic subsets you asked, go on to eBay and just do a quick search for Color Blast. It's similar to Upper Deck Goodwin Champions Splash of Color, except on steroids. It's way nicer, it's shiny, and they're case hits. They're extremely short printed. Color Blast, I don't know if we'll end up getting them with golf, but I hope we do. And it's iconic across basically all sports. So football, basketball, baseball, soccer, UFC, and any other sports has Color Blasts. And in every sport, they're considered a chase card. The reason I say I don't know if they're going to be included is sometimes Color Blasts and Downtown is another example. They're iconic subsets that end up being inserted into different products depending on the year. So in the beginning, they were part of a Prism set, but then after a few years, they started putting it into a Donruss set. So for example, Donruss blasters that you could buy on the retail shelves at Walmart were carrying Downtown inserts. Now, if I'm going to describe Downtown, it's kind of, it's a picture of the athlete, and behind them are sort of like cartoonish symbols replicating or resembling the city that they're from and the city that they're playing for. So I don't know how relevant that would actually be to golf. It's really important for football, for instance. For the Denver Broncos, so Russell Wilson, for example, they would have, a big frozen mountain behind him because he's playing in Denver. And there would be 3 or 4 other little Denver or Colorado-esque designs behind him. And then other than that, it's a really simple design. And again, look them up on eBay, and they're really cool looking cards. Now that I think about it, we probably won't get downtowns for golf. Just in terms of the Prism product, I'll have to think harder about what kind of chase cards there are other than like the Prism Gold. Well, I guess obviously there's one of ones. So for Goodwin Champions, and I keep referring to that because we've been getting some golf cards from Goodwin over the years, they've got something called Golden Treasures, which really resembles Superfractors from Topps. And Panini Prism actually does have a similar styling. They don't call it a Superfractor, and it's not a one of one. I forget the name for it. Anyways, I forget the name of that parallel with the little gold circles, but they're actually numbered out of 5 for Panini. Whereas the one of one parallel is called the Black Finite. And they look amazing. They're extremely rare and they're extremely expensive. There's another one of one parallel that kind of looks like the Black Finite, but it's got a little more of a cosmic spacey kind of vibe to it, and that's called the Black Nebula. I could probably research this and give you a better well-rounded answer, but I've been rambling for a few minutes. So James, hopefully that answers your question. That wraps up mailbag. Now we're going to get into card of the week. Card of the week is a card that does not exist yet, and that is the 2024 Panini Prism Golf John Rahm Gold Prism. You can check it out in the show art. You can check out the picture that's been mocked up by Panini on my Instagram at Fondling Cardboard. Of course, also check out my Instagram at The Golf Card Collector. And I guess I should pick another card of the week. I wanted that one to be card of the week because I wanted to show art that actually resembles the topic. But I'll choose a card I actually own as well. So the card of the week, second place, let's say, is the 2023 Goodwin Champions Will Zalatoris, card number P55, and this is a horizontal version of it, and this is the Cosmic Parallel out of 199 in 2022 and 2023. And I just love what they did with the coloring on this one. I was complaining about the previous year's Goodwin Champions Cosmic Parallels, saying they were kind of like a copy of the previous year. Maybe they took my advice, because this time it is got this beautiful pink, purpley kind of tinge to it, and the Cosmos looks amazing on these. Speaking of Cosmics, I actually just bought a Jack McBain Marquee Rookie Cosmic out of 65 from O-Pee-Chee Platinum Hockey. And Jack McBain is a rookie for the Arizona Coyotes. That's my team. And the style is incredible on that one. It is totally different than any of the golf Cosmics I've gotten. It got me re-fired up for Cosmics. I really hope they release that background for this year's Goodwin Champions for the multi-sport set, because the Tiger Woods on that Cosmic would just blow my mind. Speaking of the Coyotes, they have gone on a 14-game losing streak since I've done my episode on my passion for the Coyotes. So I'm truly going to take that as a sign that I should stop talking about them. So I will quietly collect Arizona Coyotes cards from now on. At the beginning of the season, it was looking really promising, like we were going to make the playoffs, and now we just completely fell apart. All right, y'all, that's probably enough for today. If you made it this far, thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate you listening. If you want to do me a favor, ask a friend to check out the show. I do this for my own enjoyment, but if listeners like you can keep hitting me up, keep listening, that's what keeps me motivated on weeks like this where I'm feeling under the weather. Thanks, y'all. See you next week.